Either am I rich, and man, today the world's going mad. So, two stocks I had talked about earlier, one has gone up, one has gone down relative to the market, and generally it was a down day on Wednesday. The Dow and the S&P both went down by 0.5%, but two companies kind of were a bit of outliers, and those two companies were Fiat Chrysler and Micron Technologies. So Fiat Chrysler is up. It was up like over 3% on the day, and Micron Technologies was down over 5%. So what are these reasons behind this? Well, generally speaking, I mean, when you don't have a lot of clear information or concise news, I think that these stock prices can just fluctuate because somebody who has a lot of stock positions or wants a lot of stock positions in these companies basically has just seen things a little bit different and just acts on them at that time. So other than that, I mean, there are times when there's concise news like earnings come out or a very drastic, change in some kind of part of the business. But generally speaking, the two news stories that came out, I don't think they're actually, or the few news stories that came out about these two companies, I don't think they were really unknown, and so I don't know that these drops are justified, but I think that's, or the gains, I mean, I think the gains might be justified, but anyways, let's get into it. So Fiat Chrysler is up, and the reason I think, a few of the reasons that it might be up are one, that they have a 5-year plan for growth, and part of that plan is for electrification of their vehicles, to start to have plug-in hybrids of Jeep and certain models that would be maybe fully electric. And there's just a little bit more kind of clarification on what models they're going to do and how they're going to go about it. Basically, they're going to be a little slower on the process. I mean, they're going to try and do electrification, but they want to do it in a way that entices the people who like, their pickup trucks or their Jeeps to want to take this option of electrification. And they have mentioned that electrification, you have a lot less margin of profit, so they still aren't that embracing of the technology, but they are going to try and do it in a very reasonable way that can make them still profitable. 5-10 years ago, they didn't even bother because the costs were so high that if they had built an electric car to sell at a price point that people were willing to pay, they would end up, losing $10,000 on the car. So they didn't want to do it at that point. Now they've said that battery prices have come down a little bit, and this might be in part because of somebody like Tesla making a huge battery factory and just kind of putting downward pressure on prices for batteries in general for cars. So this might be one reason why Fiat Chrysler is likely to be able to produce a little bit better or a little bit cheaper electric cars and not lose too much money on them. In that case, so that's a positive. So they've really played a safe financial path towards electrification. And so for people who don't want, Fiat Chrysler is not going on the Tesla route of trying to dominate the market and really push the forefront of electric cars. They're just trying to be part of it in a very safe and responsible way. And so for people who would like that safe and responsible way, I think they liked the news for Fiat Chrysler. A few other pieces of news which were already known, just more talk about Waymo and Fiat Chrysler, or like Google and Fiat Chrysler's partnership with autonomous driving. That was part of the news. And a few days ago, also Tesla announced that they're going to get rid of their showrooms, and that should put just sales online just to reduce prices for electric vehicles. So I think that you could look at it a few ways. One is that's maybe what they need to do to get a cheap electric car out there, but it also could be a benefit for the other big automotive companies because they might not have to deal with as much publicity of Tesla. But that's fairly ambiguous. So I think those are kind of pieces of news that help Fiat Chrysler go up. I do see it as very undervalued, and it still seems like a very solid company for the next while. And they've repositioned their finances very well, so that they probably will continue for the next 5-10 years fairly easily. Whether they'll be a dominant car player or not, that's still hard to say. But yeah, definitely I still think it was a buy when I mentioned in my last video about it, and this is no surprise that it's going up. Now we get to Micron. Micron is going down, and I did a video on this one as well earlier, and I said it was probably a hold, and this is exactly why I said it was probably a hold, because news came out today about DRAM memory price oversupply is probably worse than people expected. Now that kind of clickbait head title is exactly what people who want to short the stock like, because I think last year people were expecting like Micron to potentially go negative earnings and maybe go bankrupt. So they were expecting a pretty bad case scenario for NAND and DRAM prices. And now if they're expecting, now this news comes out that DRAM oversupply might be worse than expected. But still, I mean, you're expecting a very, very huge drop in the profits of Micron for the current share price. So Micron, I mean, it was really cheap back in December, and it has come up, and so that was another reason I was holding off, like maybe two reasons. One, its stock price had come back to like December levels, early December levels, and so I felt like the stock is going up so much that people probably were a little more hesitant to keep raising the price of the stock. And the other thing is the whole market in general was back to pre-December kind of prices, December 2018 prices. And so you're back into this cycle of volatility that could happen. It'll probably be more on the upside this year, I think, but generally you're back in an area that you could have volatility. And so just for these reasons, I didn't see Micron as a buy, and so many people love to short the stock. So when some kind of news comes out that sounds really bad and dire for Micron, it's not surprising that the stock falls. And now it might go back up again, bob around a lot. And I really think the big motion in the stock is going to happen after when they do their next earnings report, because if the DRAM situation or other memory situation is better than people have been saying for Micron, then Micron's probably going to go, their stock price is probably going to shoot to the moon. If it doesn't, if it matches what people expect or if it does worse, then you could see this stock going down or at least becoming very volatile. Still the long-term future, it's still, like an oligopoly for DRAM, and they're also at the forefront of crosspoint memory technology, 3D crosspoint. So I see Micron still as, in the next 5 years, probably having a pretty good position in the memory business, and memory is still going to be needed in the future, so I'm not sure that this is all warranted, but definitely it's a time to really kind of wait it out and see. When you get closer to the earnings, that's probably when a lot of action is going to happen. And if it starts to go up, if they have really good news and it starts to go up, if someone can catch it at that time, it's probably it might be a good time to catch it, even if it's going up a little bit already. But because there's so much downside news already baked into the price that it could shoot up really high, but who knows? Maybe I'm wrong. I'd love to know. That's just kind of a news update. I'd love to know what you guys think of these two companies. Feel free to leave comments. Other than that, thanks for watching, and we'll see you in the next. Actually, I was thinking, I say see you in the next video, but I don't really see you. I look at a camera, and I'll read your comments or something. And you guys, I don't know if you're going to see me in the next video. The next video, you could click on like Whoopi Goldberg. I don't know. So honestly, just we'll check in next time. Thanks.